This statue is called Lion Man, and he was found in the dark inner chamber of a cave in Germany in 1939. He was found by 2 scientists, and he was in lots and lots of small pieces. The scientists knew that this was an exciting discovery, but then they were called to war, and so the pieces lay forgotten about for some time until somebody reconstructed the pieces and found that the sculpture was of this Lion Man. The cave that it was found in was thought to be where early men from the Stone Age times came together to share stories and worship around a campfire. The Lion Man has been sculpted from a piece of ivory which was from a mammoth tusk, and the statue is about 40,000 years old and 31 centimetres tall, which is about the same length as your ruler at school. He has the head of a cave lion with a partly human body, and he's standing upright, perhaps on his tiptoes, with his arms to the side. He's gazing at the person that is looking at him. He is very powerful, and the details in his face show that he is attentive, that he's watching you, and he is listening.
August 1939. 2 men are hurriedly digging at the back of a German cave. Suddenly, they make a heart-stopping discovery. Tiny fragments of mammoth ivory, worked by prehistoric human hands. But there's no time to investigate. Europe is about to go to war, and both men have been called up to fight. Decades pass before the fragments from the cave can finally be pieced together, and what then emerges is extraordinary. A figure of a being that cannot exist in nature. He stands upright on human legs, with human arms at his sides, but his torso shades into a strangely strong, thick neck, and then into the head of a lion. This Lion Man, crafted 40,000 years ago, comes from a world that exists only in our imagination. Yet he is here, and his pricked-up ears are listening to us, his eyes watching us. Who or what the Lion Man was, we shall never know. But the answer mattered enough that a small community, living on the edge of subsistence, haunted by what lurked outside their cave, mammoths, lions, let somebody spend 400 precious hours carving this figure, carving out a story that was told by generation after generation around their fire, so that the Lion Man's torso became smooth as he was passed between them. These people possessed something precious, a shared story, which showed each person their deep connection to one another, to the dead and the as yet unborn, and gave them a place in this world and the worlds beyond. That story, whatever it was, ended up buried in fragments. But tens of thousands of years later, here we are, as much in need as they were of a shared story that pieces us all together and shows us the stake that we have in one another's lives, helping us to face, together, whatever lurks outside the cave.
Okay, so here I'm making the salt dough mixture. Inside my bowl I have put a mug. So this is the mug I'm using. I've put a mug of flour, and now I'm going to put half a mug. So I've got half a mug here of just salt. I'm going to put that in, and next I'm going to need half a mug of water. Here we go, so we've got half a mug of water. So I'm going to put that in too, and then mix. I'm just scraping around the sides with my spatula to try and get all of the flour and all the salt from the edges, all the dry bits. So mix that all together. And then I'm going to put some extra flour onto my work surface to try to stop it from sticking. I'm going to turn that out of the bowl like this. Now, this is where our hands are going to get super messy, so it can be a good idea to roll up your sleeves, maybe have an apron. Maybe you should have had an apron on already if you haven't. And then we're just going to give our salt dough a little knead. So like this, as if we're making bread. This is what we would do if we were making a nice loaf. So knead it together until it becomes nice and smooth. So the surface would be lovely and smooth. Make sure that you have got some flour on the surface, otherwise it will stick. So give it a good old squeeze as you're mixing it like this. Now it's feeling quite nicely mixed. So there we go. It's got a nice smooth surface, and then we're going to use that to model and create our lion man sculpture. Okay, I've moved my salt dough mixture onto a piece of greaseproof paper as it was a bit sticky, and I also just kneaded in a little bit more flour as I felt it was very squidgy. If yours is very squidgy and soft to mould, add in a little bit more flour. I really don't think it matters. So I've just poured off a little bit of the salt dough mixture, and I'm going to try and turn this part into Lion Man's body. So I've got a knife here. He had very tall, he had very long legs. So I'm just going to try and mould his legs from this piece, like this. And I'm leaving it on the greaseproof paper so it's not sticking to the work surface too much, or the table, wherever you're working. So I'm just moulding with using my fingers, like this, his legs. Now make his body and his arms. So I'm going to cut like that. Make his arms. Add in a piece here. His body. Now I'm trying to make sure that all the pieces are attached properly, because when it's dry I want it to be one solid piece. I'm just going to mould his arms. His arms a little bit longer. Think about what he looks like in the pictures that we've seen. Going to use my finger to smooth out all the joins. I'm going to use my knife as well to help separate his legs. Okay, so that's his body. I think I'm quite happy with this, how his body is looking. Now I had quite broad shoulders, so quite wide shoulders actually made him look very strong. I'm just going to widen out his top half like that. And now we need to make a head. Now can you remember what was special about his face? He's not a human, had a human body. And what was the face? Can you remember? That was right, yeah, so it's the face of a lion. So we've got to try and think, how are we going to make him look like a lion? So I have moulded his head, and I'm just going to try and attach that to his body, like this. I'm going to put some indentations there for where his eyes would be. And now just moulding the shape where his nose would come out. You see that? So I'm just gently just pushing with my fingers. Oh, any little bits that you mess up as you're going along, you can just pat down, put them back. I think mine's got quite a large head, I think, in the picture actually. Lion Man's head was a bit smaller than mine. But never mind, I quite like the way he's turning out. I'm just trying to make this front bit where his snout would be by trying to make sure that I pull that out of his head. He looks a little bit more like an alien actually at the moment. And then we need some ears. Now, Lion Man's ears, if you remember, were pricked up. They were listening. So he was watching and listening. So he's going to need, try and make him look like he's listening with some ears. I don't want them too tall, because he's not a rabbit. Also, they're quite alert ears, so he needs to look like he's listening. And again, I'm going to just use my fingers, and I'm also going to use this blunt knife just to make sure his ears are moulded and attached to his head. I don't want them to fall off. And I'm going to use my finger just to make an indentation there, to make his ears look the right shape. Okay, and now using my knife, I'm going to gently cut in here. To make. Okay, so I have gone back to my Lion Man, and I've just added a few extra details to make him look a little bit more human-like. So here you can see that I added a little bit more salt dough to make his chest. I used my knife to put some indentations in to make it look a bit like a rib cage for his chest, and I added a little bit more salt dough around these areas here to make him look a bit more 3D, because I felt he was looking a bit flat. And what I've then done is I've put him into the oven on a 200 degrees centigrade. He's been in the oven probably for about 20 minutes, and I've taken him out and he's gone quite solid. Possibly could have left him in a little bit longer. Obviously you'd need to get an adult or an older sibling to help you with this, but you could make him and just leave him somewhere to dry overnight in the air. You don't need to put him in the oven. I've just put him in the oven just to speed up him being ready, and then I can add some colour to him with some coffee mixture just to make him look a little bit more stone-like. But you can see from where he's been in the oven, he's actually gone a little bit coloured already. So there he is at the moment. So that's Lion Man now come out of the oven.